Beloved divine friends and family in the raw. RKs Guyana Free Media, and I'm your host, Haji Dr. Ocean Khan. The Freddie Kissoon column, Saturday, December 19, 2020. A mystery during the 5 months of rigging, now explained. The master of writing media history, political science and political analyst, Freddie Kissoon, known as Freddie. And he says, in all the analyses from different commentators, no one has touched on a mystery during the 5 months of election rigging. It was on Tuesday, March 3rd, that international and local observers detected a fishy movement. In the command center of GCOM, there was an abrupt halt to the last stage of the counting of the votes. And we know the main brain who was behind that out of the jurisdiction of the actual GCOM recount, who was controlling even at the Ashman's building the count and telling them and directing them. And I'm saying even the CEO was in corrupt mood and conspiracy with that man who said that Irfan Ali, then presidential candidate, went in with guns blazing as a total fabrication and a liar. And you and I know, ladies and gentlemen, who is that culprit. That man of hate against the particular ethnicity of this country and the conspiracies he's involved to try to break and destroy this nation, including yours truly, in business. But what has happened? I still eat, I still live, I still give my charity, I'm still loved by God. But is he Mr. Harmon? 9 regions, back to the article, 9 regions were completed and accepted by GCOM, with Region 4 still to be finalized. The world saw that the 2020 election was being rigged when Claremont Mingo began to insert fictional numbers into the Region 4 tabulation. And I say again, always on the phone, always under instruction, along with the CEO and the deputy CEO. And back to the article, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever forget this. You, the people around the world, never forget this. You, the Guyanese people, never forget this conspiracy to try to steal a nation and to decimate a people, a particular set of people in Guyana who we saw being decimated in Region 5. When conspiracies were being made to beat, murder, loot, rape, chop, re-rape, and over-rape, and fill up of a particular race. At a time when I'm ashamed to say, as a commissioner of the ERC was like castrated, like they were impotent. I am ashamed and sad to say that the ERC was like impotent and a national shame and a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. As the president just said, it was like they were in hiding as a bunch of cowards or taking orders from the same man who was controlling GCOM and Claremont Mingo and others. Back to the article. When that happened, it forced the international observers and the PPPC to release statements of poll that revealed the loss of the incumbent. Knowing that it had lost the APNO and the AFC as two separate entities went on the offensive with shouts of victory and penetration by Russians who were speaking, according to Ramjatan, who was speaking Russian language clandestinely with no other than the great and the powerful Dr. Barajagdev, who is the architect of the destruction of the APNO AFC government through his personality and style. And he fabricated the gentleman's name, Ramjatan fabricated the name of that man to try and denigrate him. But what has happened? It turned around and mashed him up. Even though he tried to become prime minister by eliminating and conspiring against his partner, friend and co-founder, a man who was highly respected once in this nation and around the world, Moses Nagamutu, former prime minister. He, Ramjatan, wanted prime ministership. Now you just have to look at his face and listen to his words and look at the prime minister that we currently have. And we had Sam Hines, former prime minister, and current Brigadier Mark Phillips, and even comparing him, Ramjatan, to Moses Nagamutu. Who would you choose? I would choose Moses Nagamutu if I had to. But he sold his brother out for a few shillings, few pieces of silver. But he did not have what it takes to become prime minister and to win an election, because he was a traitor to the sugar workers. A traitor to the sugar workers. He was, Ramjatan, a traitor to the sugar workers of this, a total traitor to the peoples of this country, which affected and disaffected our economy. Friends and families, back to Freddie Kissoon. Of the two entities, the AFC fired off with the first salvo and going into attack. The next day, Thursday, March 5th, Cathy Hughes and Cameron Ramjatan held a press conference at the PNC election campaign office at Lamaha and Cam Streets and informed the nation that the government had intercepted a group of Russians that came to tamper with the election, and they were arrested and deported. Total ridiculosity and gross stupidity of Ramjatan, most unfit to be Honorable Vice President, Minister of Home Affairs. What a shame of a gentleman, a liar, and his lie worked against him and decimated him. Research on the attitudes of the leaders of the PNC and the AFC would show that from Friday, March 6th until August 1st, the day Granger conceded defeat, there was no longer any mention of the Russian dimension. He was Minister of Home Affairs. Is he not ashamed? Would he not arrest them? Have a press conference, and then echoed by who? Mr. Harman, that there was, and Harman words, as when he said the same thing about presidential candidate moving in with over 20-something people, and he heard from one of his people they had guns and they were regurgitating that filth on the media that made them become a pariah of hate from the observers and from governments around the world. Is it any amazing thing, ladies and gentlemen? Is it not, that not even one nation around the world agreed with them that they had won the election? But somehow or the other, they are spinning this fanciful nonsensicality of gross stupidity. Back to the article. Research on the attitudes of the leaders of the PNC and the AFC would show that from Friday, March 6th to August 1st, the day Granger conceded defeat, there was no longer any mention of the Russian dimension. Mr. Ramjatan, open your eyes, skin it, read, and open your ears and skull so you could listen very well, and open your eyes so you could hear, and your ears so you could see. I'm speaking symbolically, friends and family, because like his eyes can't see and his ears can't hear, so maybe it works in reverse. By the way, I heard that several hundreds of, over 1,000 people got firearms without proper due process. Is the government of Guyana, I challenge them to set up a commission of inquiry to prove that who have been accused, who is Mr. Ramjatan, of being in some complicit corruption, that is not true. And I'm sure Mr. Ramjatan is going to call upon the government to set up a commission of inquiry. I'm sure about that. He will want his name cleared, right, ladies and gentlemen? And in which he is accused and known by many, they say, confirming and alleged that he gave 47 or 37 high-powered weapons to an institution where he is a silent partner, without due process on the firearm boards and the police. Time for a commission of inquiry that I think Ramjatan should push for. Such a serious commission of inquiry, they should have a certain CARICOM presence. Back to the article. Here is a brilliant strategy of deception in politics that could have paid dividends in the world torn between big power rivalry, but both the PNC and AFC dropped it immediately after March 6. If the incumbent cried out American intervention, then that could have found ears in Canada and UK and Washington. Why was this horse not flagged? The brilliant political scientist Freddie Kissoon asks. And I'm just a reader, ladies and gentlemen, and a simple, ordinary commentator. Simple, ordinary commentator. The brains is Freddie Kissoon. From March 6th to August 1st, the Russian intervention was avoided like the plague in the countless descriptions of the PNC and AFC of what the PPP did. They would have to avoid that because they were now caught with their, proverbially as we say, pants down, the derriere or the butts exposed. Back to the article, there was the dossier prepared by relative of President Granger, Michael Granger, as contracted by the PR firm JJ&B, which was hired by the PNC. The dossier linked the PPPC with China and argued that the PPPC victory would see the PPP take Guyana into the orbit of both China and Russia, but there was no details of Russian tampering. They were trying to get America on their side, but the Americans knew better. Joe Harmon was the front man for the cries of the PNC, and the thing which I adding now my words that is now eliminated and has no power, not even a third of one seat they could have won. But they got 9 free seats from the PNC. You're fortunate. He cited the following deliberate discarding of the thousands of ballots of the security forces. Migrants long gone from Guyana had voted, dead people with names on the voters list voted, crucial documents were missing in many ballot boxes. This was the ridiculous, nonsensical, and most stupid allegations. And I go back to the article. Chris Jones and Sherrod Duncan ran a nightly Facebook feature denouncing the PPPC tampering, but no mention of the Russians. Mr. Ramjatan's invention of the Russians. Chris Jones and Sherrod Duncan. Okay, we did that already. Dr. Melissa Eifield, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of UG, asserted that the American firm Mercury shaped the narrative for a PPPC victory, but she did not cite the Russians. Dr. David Hines, Rickford, Burke, and Mark Benchcup from their homes in the U.S. incited every night, cussed down every night, but not a word about the Russian involvement. Freddie, you're good, boy. Oh, you're good. Look, I got to salute my right hand because I'm recording with my right, and I got to salute you with the left hand. But sorry, right? Respects, Freddie. Respects. You're truly a hero of this country and need a national award. By the end of July, when Secretary of State Mike Pompeo literally threatened Granger with sanctions from international law in a telephone conversation, and Granger initially refused to take, the Russian strategy was long dead. Why did the PNC and AFC kill the Russian thing? Yeah. I want to know, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know too. Why? Here is what happened that has never been made public after Hughes and Ramjatan told the world about the Russians. The U.S. Embassy contacted Ramjatan and asked for more details. He was the Minister of Public Security, so he would be in possession of the documents. Interestingly, Ramjatan gave oral details but declined to offer documents, which he said were a security matter that had to be okayed by cabinet. What a bluff. Lawyer tell lies. And ladies and gentlemen, I always get scared when lawyers become ministers of home affairs because lawyers are accustomed to collecting fees. Lawyers like fees. Remember that. Back to the article. After Hughes and Ramjatan told the world about the Russians, the U.S. Embassy contacted him. Okay, I finished with that. Remember, this is in the raw, ladies and gentlemen. I'm recording, I'm talking, I'm thinking, I am reading, and I'm commenting, so sometimes I get a little bit lost. The U.S. Embassy knew Ramjatan and Hughes were playing games. Weeks passed and the American Embassy received no documents. When Ramjatan was not forthcoming, the U.S. Embassy asked President Granger for information. The Russian stratagem died there and then. The office of the President informed the U.S. Embassy that it knew nothing about the Russian involvement and heard about it from the AFC press conference. Ramjatan was left to be ridden over by a 40-wheel Mack truck. The embassy then informed the Canadian, EU and UK diplomats that the Russian thing was fake news. The PNC had no interest in the Russian story because it knew that it was a wild card the AFC introduced into the arena that was a pathetic sight, and I add reality. So friends and family, ladies and gentlemen, think for a moment. Share this. Go to RKs Guyana Free Media in YouTube and in Facebook and listen to the words that I comment on here by the no other, written by Freddie Kissoon. the master political scientist that we in Guyana and this hemisphere are blessed to have as a hero, a man who should be given a national award, even if he speaks against your government, President Dr. Irfan Ali at times, because the government need these kinds of people to show them the weaknesses that the government might not be seeing. Your friend, your brother, me, Haji Dr. Ocean Khan, in the raw, saying thank you and farewell, French.